Hey there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. Really lovely to have you here. This is Gwen Lepard, and today is my 162, doing a little dyslexia there, 162nd day of going live here on Facebook, asking the question, how do I love myself today? So today, I wanted to share some of the epiphanies and insights that I got from watching the wrap up of the show Sense8 on Netflix. Wow. I mean, definitely, if you're listening and you're really close minded or you get really young, I don't recommend it. It's highly adult content, highly open content. DL, oh my gosh, it's super awesome to see you. I'd love to share this with you. I can bring you on the camera if you would like, if you're up for it today. So, Sense8 is a show that is super adult content, super relationship. Many alternative relationship styles are explored, as well as more than telepathy. It's I don't know the proper word for it, but being able to sense and feel and actually like be with other people that you're not with, but you are with them. And it's like a group of 8. It's a cluster. And it's one of the most insightful and riveting shows that I've seen. And when they canceled it over a year ago, leaving us hanging on what was happening to one of the cluster, I was, like many others, like, no! And so many fans reached out that Netflix decided to do a 2.5 hour wrap up. And so I saw that last night, and it was amazing. And they did it, they wrapped it up really, really beautifully. So thank you, Netflix, for doing that. And I know that there's lots of people in there that I could name. Oh, oh, okay, that's right. You're down in Australia. Oh my gosh. DL, that's so fabulous that you're traveling to Australia, and I'll be seeing you soon in Fiji. That's like, yes. Super, super cool. So that's a no to coming on the camera. Yeah, so Netflix, when you come back and you're ready to do a Netflix binge, I highly recommend Sense8. Yeah, the first time I heard about it, it was like I didn't get to it, and then I ended up watching it with a friend, and we were really, really amazed about it. Oh, thanks for the jet lag, DL. It reminds me I need to post that jet lag technique with acupressure that I have, so that you won't have jet lag coming back. How's that? I apologize for not doing it sooner. So epiphanies that I received from watching that. Whew. Well, one, we're never alone. And even if, I don't have a connection like they have in the show, we all are connected through the heart. And that's one of the things in the relationship clearing that I do, that there is a connection with everyone on the planet, heart to heart. And that connection never leaves. So we're never alone. And there's, I might go really woo on you. There's just so many different dimensions, and this is one of the techniques I use with my clients. Is there are an infinity of dimensions plus one, and we can travel to those dimensions through our imagination and guided imagery to get the skills that we want to have in our current life. I've helped people with relationships, with their money, with anxiety. It's really, really helpful for clearing up anxiety, fear of going forward with some project. And we're never alone. I mean, there are so many resources available to us that are around us all the time. Spiritual resources, and if you want to call it God, call it God. It's the divine that's in us all. And so we're never really alone. And I know that there's been a lot of suicide happening lately, and And I felt it. I've been feeling there's like been so much heaviness in the collective consciousness lately. Just heaviness, a drag. Like I talked last night on my Facebook Live about feeling like a parachute was holding me back, slowing me down, and all these attachments. And now that I have that awareness, I think it'll be easier for me to clear it. Boy, the sun decided to come out here. It just got really, really bright. Who is this that's watching now? Lorian. Wow, cool to see you, Lorian. I loved the challenge you did. It was so, so beautiful, loving yourself and seeing yourself for... looking at yourself and seeing yourself as beautiful, and you're so incredibly beautiful. It was so wonderful to watch that journey. So back to Sense8. Yeah, and the epiphanies. So we're never alone. We truly are never alone, and we have lots of resources to gather. And at the end of the show, they were doing, and this is not a spoiler alert. This is not a spoiler. It's basically the credits are rolling and stuff, and there's just a lot of people doing stuff. And there was somebody that had a sign that said, "We are all Sense8," and I was like, yeah. And that came up in my meditations this morning about, we are so connected, and we are not alone. We are surrounded by community, by connection, and the only thing that disconnects us is the beliefs that we've either been put on us or we've adopted. And getting back to the suicide, I've been feeling this heaviness and been really depressed myself and wondering, where's this coming from? Because it wasn't mine. And it's one of the tools that I've been sharing for a long time around anxiety and with the relationship clearing, that we take on other people's energy sometimes, especially if you're empathic, which I am. We feel the energy of the collective consciousness. So that's what most people are feeling. And there were a number of people, high-profile people, who felt that energy and couldn't deal with it. That something was happening in their lives that they felt that a permanent solution to a short-term problem was the answer. That the world would be better without them. The world will never be better without you. The world needs all of us. And I could go down a total another rabbit hole, but I'm just not going to today. There's there are solutions that are not permanent. That if you're really hurting and you're really feeling that drag and you're really feeling the depression and you're feeling the heaviness of the world and what's happening in the world, I was able to, I had the opportunity to listen to news while spending time with my mother, which I try to avoid, not spending time with my mother, but the news. And I can understand why you could feel so devastated and like there's no hope. There is always hope. And to just trust that you are not alone. There are people here for you. There is energy here for you. There are solutions. So please, please reach out. Please reach out. Yeah. I know, I was feeling all that, DL. I was feeling that. And I'm now aware that it's not mine. I was aware, but I wasn't, it was so heavy that I wasn't able to detach from it like I normally could. And I think that sometimes, we go through things so that we can better share with our clients and with those that we're here to impact and inspire. Because if we haven't gone through it, it's like, well, man, you're just always so happy. Life, you can't understand me and my depression, or my anxiety. It's like, yeah. Sometimes I may come at it from a different perspective than you would to fix it, to talk it down. But I'm here, and please reach out if the heaviness that you've been feeling is now, you're maybe having the awareness that it's not yours and you want some help to release it. Well, and actually, let's just do a release. So I used to do this talk in my secondhand anxiety talk. And so the first thing to do is bring awareness that if you're feeling some really big heaviness, ask the question, is this mine? And trust the answer. I mean, if it says yes, well, then you can start asking another line of questions of how do I get out of this? What is here for me to learn? Sometimes you just have to embrace it if it's your own. It's just, like I've talked before, fear is one of those things. It's like, emotions can only be felt for 30 seconds. So if you're in fear, you embrace it. Like, wrap your arms around that fear. Just hug it really super tight and try to bring it into your heart as hard as you can. And within 30 seconds, it's going to dissolve. In fact, for me, it's usually a couple of seconds. I'm like, where'd it go? I really wanted to embrace that hard. Depression is a little more difficult. Embracing depression can be more difficult than fear. Fear diffuses really fast. Depression, it's a little slipperier. So when you embrace it, it's almost like you have to put it in a container and then bring it in to hold it really tight. But if the awareness is, this is not mine, then you can put it in a ball, shape it into a ball with your hands and throw it down a grounding cord. So you can create a grounding cord. Always good to start with grounding cords. And the grounding cord can be nice and wide as your hips, going down into the center of the earth. It's set to release, and the inside is slippery, like it has a viscous fluid in it that just makes it go whoosh. So anything that you're releasing just goes right down into the center of the earth and turns into pure energy. And so you say, well, this isn't mine, and you can either just cut it away from you, or you can turn it into a ball and throw it down the grounding cord. But sometimes the knowing that it's not yours will diffuse it. It's like, oh, that's not mine. Some people say send it back to the person whose it is, but if that person's hurting, that's the last thing you want to do. So for me, I put it down my grounding cord, turn it into energy, because then we have access to pure energy, which we can use for positivity, and we can bring back up to nourish ourselves. So if right now you're feeling some heaviness or some depression or anxiety, ask, is this mine? And if it's not, we've already created a grounding cord. Go ahead and turn it into a ball so that it's outside of you. You can cut it and turn it into a ball so it's outside of you. Give it shape, and it's like, maybe you'll get a sense of whose it is. And if not, Trina, yay! Awesome to have you here. If it's not yours, just throw it down that grounding cord with love, sending it down so it can be turned into pure energy. Because none of us need to hang on to other people's anxiety or depression or fear. All of that stuff is just going to bring you down, and it's going to add drag to you and your life and the things that you're here to do to inspire others. So let me know if that was helpful. So once you do that, so that's the A, it's an ABC. So the A is the awareness that it's not yours and sending it down your grounding cord. And then B is setting a boundary. And it's actually an energetic boundary, and all it is actually bringing your energy into 18 inches. So all you have to say is energy 18 inches. And your energy knows what to do. So energy 18 inches. And sometimes my nose kind of tickles when I do this. And then your energy is within 18 inches. So most people are outside of that realm. Though if you're in a crowded place, they're going to bounce up against it. But it allows you to have protection all around you. So it's all around you, energy 18 inches, and make sure that it's all filled in. And then roses are like the highest vibration scent on the planet, and you can clean up the inside with a rose, like a rose duster. Instead of a feather duster, you have a rose duster. And as it cleans up the negative energy or the depression, anxiety, whatever you've been feeling, clean that out of the energy that's inside that 18 inches and throw as soon as the rose is filled up, throw it down the grounding cord. So you can keep doing that until you feel all clean and front and back everywhere. So then you have a boundary of 18 inches. So, and it's flexible, and if you don't stay on it, it'll dissolve. So if you start feeling it again, bring your energy back into 18 inches. So we have A for awareness, B for boundary, and then the C is a choice. And a lot of people want to, I see a lot of people in the world that want to be victims, and they want to, and I've been there myself. It's way easier to blame somebody else. We're under government, under leadership that wants to blame everyone else. But choosing to take responsibility for your own feelings and choosing to shift your energy. And it can be tough sometimes. Sometimes you want to, it's not that you want to stay in the pain or the fear or the anxiety. However, what's holding you back, it almost seems like you can't move forward. But in that moment, choose joy, or choose love, or choose courage. There's a vibrational scale that Dr. David Hawkins laid out in Power versus Force, and then Christy Marie Shelton did Love or Above around that. And there's a lot of these out there, but they're energy frequencies for different emotions, and shame is like down around 20, and courage is at 200, love is at 500, and joy is above that. And when we're vibrating that fear and shame, it really pulls us down, and it makes it really difficult to get through life. It makes it really difficult to actually own what we're experiencing. It makes it really easy to be in the victim mode. So if you can just make the choice to at least be courageous, and that will bring your energy up. So you have the awareness that it's not your energy, you release it. You bring in your energy to 18 inches, create that boundary, and then you make a choice, whether it's to be courageous and move forward in spite of the fear, whether it's moving up to love and allowing yourself to love yourself. Look in the mirror and say, I love you. I was just doing that. I need to get Mark Rabbit on here. I discovered the distinction between I love you and I love me. And I've talked about this before, the difference between the soul, the spirit and the soul, that I'm looking in the mirror and I'm saying, I love you. And I see my eyes light up, and I see this recognition when I say, I love you. And then I started with the I love me. And I noticed how it shifted, and the energy shifted. I love me. And the I love you was more outward, and the I love me was more inward. And I realized that I love me is telling my spirit, my ego, my personality that I love me, the spirit, the driver of the car. And the I love you was telling the soul, which is the divinity in myself, the divinity in us all. I love you. Looking in the mirror saying, I love you. You're telling the divine part of yourself that you love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. It's really interesting. I highly recommend doing both. The mirror exercise. I love me. Notice how it's more about the body and the spirit and the physical envelope. And the I love you, how it's the divine connection and the soul in you that animates you and brings, gives you life. That is super juicy. Oh my gosh, I'm sharing so much today. Well, okay, so to wrap up, Sense8, 2.5 hour wrap up of an incredible Netflix show, very adult. Definitely highly recommend watching it. Much to be gained there. Thanks for the like. Likes and loves are awesome. Shares are awesome. Facebook shows this to more people if we do that. I always appreciate that when you do that. if you're never alone. There's always somebody awake and alive on the planet that you could reach out to. Plus, you have lots of resources around you, everywhere. If you're feeling depressed and heavy, that energy may not be yours. And so the ways to get rid of that energy is the awareness that it's not yours. Put it down your grounding cord, the boundary. Create 18 inches, clean it up with a dust or rose, also down the grounding cord, and then making the choice to live in courage or love or joy. Whatever level you're able to bring yourself up to, just keep bringing it up a little bit until you can bring it up a little bit more, until you can bring it up a little bit more. And then the mirror exercise. I love you. I love me. Feel the distinction. Do it. Today's day 162 of 365 days of Ask, how do I love myself today? Today, I love myself by sharing all of this wisdom with you. And God, it's the best. Working with clients is the best. Sharing the wisdom is the best. Getting out here and being willing to be open and vulnerable and share, it's the best. So thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Trina and DL and Lorian. It's super awesome to have you here. And I look forward to connecting with anybody that watches later. And know that you are loved. So ask yourself, how do I love myself today? And go love yourself.